Welcome to the Bowden Blitz. Today I want to talk about my sleeper team in the SEC, and that's LSU. You know, after losing a Heisman quarterback and a couple of first-rounders at the wide receiver position, a lot of people are picking this team not to be able to pull off 9 wins in the season, but I think they're wrong. I think LSU is going to have a great year. I look to see them in postseason play, and I think there are 4 main factors that I'm going to talk about that would suggest that this is going to happen. Number 1, I'm going to start with coaching. You know, there's an old thought in football, do you win with players or do you win with coaches? Well, you know what? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a lot of both, to tell you the truth. You know, it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and Joes. Well, you have to have great players to win. That's obvious. But when you play in the SEC or in the postseason play, everybody's got good players. The players kind of balance out, and now which coaches do the best job, and it's kind of like chess. You know, in chess, some people can move the pieces around better than others, and I think that's why coaching is just as important as players. It might be 1A and 1B, but both of those are up there, very important. I think at LSU, coaching is going to make a big impact on this program. At LSU, Brian Kelly, the head coach, I think he's one of the most underrated coaches out there. He is a proven winner wherever he has been. We're talking Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Central Michigan, he's been successful where he's been. And if you look at his record, he's always been able to keep his programs moving in the right directions. He's won double-digit victories in the last 7 years. You can count the coaches out there in America right now on one hand that have accomplished that. And so he always tends to go out there and build that program. And if you look at his third year, everywhere he's been, his third year has been incredibly successful, and he's entering his third year at LSU. And I think that's one of the reasons I think we can expect big things out of him this year. Been a head coach 26 years, 5 different programs, and has won everywhere he's been. He knows how to lead a team, and he's always finding a way to make that team better. And I think that's what he's going to do this year. You know, LSU had a horrendous defense last year. It really let them down. Probably was the reason the quarterback won the Heisman Trophy, because he had to score so much just to win ball games. But what Coach Brian Kelly did, he went out and hired Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator from Missouri. And what that's now given him is one of the top defensive coordinators in the country. And that defense can quickly be solved in a lot of ways, not just by changing personnel or upgrading personnel, but also just by putting them in a better position to be successful. That's why I relate it to chess. Some people can move those pieces around better. And I think by hiring Blake Baker as a defensive coordinator, you bring in one of the top defensive coordinators in the country, and you bring him to LSU, and you immediately get results with that defense. So because of coaching, a veteran head coach who has a history of taking programs, always moving them up in his third year, and then taking a defensive problem and trying to correct it as quickly as he can with a brand new defensive coordinator and a new defensive staff, puts this team in the right direction. We'll be right back now to talk about a few other things that are going to make LSU successful. Welcome back to the Bowden Blitz. And I want to talk about the players at LSU because, you know, LSU has always had outstanding players, SEC caliber players. I know that I've coached against them 6 times when I was at Auburn as the head coach, and when I was at FSU, and even at ULM, we went there and made some money. But they've always had great players. And I think I've always said that if LSU can get the best high school players out of Louisiana, they have a chance to play for the national championship. And they continue to get good high school players out of the state of Louisiana, plus the players they get out of the portal. And they've got players. Of course, it starts with quarterback, and Garrett Nussmeier is the new guy, the new signal caller, and I think they've got a special player there. He's about to become, I think, the next great quarterback at LSU. A lot of y'all would say, well, you just lost the Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels. How are you going to replace him? 2 first-round receivers and have as good an offense. I'm not sure LSU is going to be as explosive or score as many points on offense. And remember, they had to score on offense a lot of times just to outscore the other team, and that allowed the quarterback really to get the numbers that he needed to get the Heisman. But you've got a quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier that's much more like Joe Burrows. We're talking about the son of a football coach. In fact, Garrett's dad was an NFL quarterback and is a quarterback coach in the NFL. So you've got a guy that knows how to play quarterback. He's got a high football IQ. And here is a guy, too, that's been 3 years in the program, finished last year strong, winning the bowl game against Wisconsin. So I think he's going to be in a position really to give them a much more solid type of steady offense, much more like Joe Burrows really than Jaden Daniels, but a quarterback that they can win the conference with and play for the national championship. Lacey, a wide receiver, is having a great preseason. I think he'll be a great receiver, filling a few holes there. And maybe the most important thing is you're putting a great offensive line in front of Garrett Nussmeier. You've got probably the best offensive line in the SEC, one of the best in the country. And when you have a great offensive line, you can build that running attack around it, and you can protect the quarterback. So offensively, no, I don't think they'll be as productive or have the high numbers, but they will be much better than people think, and they will be good enough to win if they can play better defense. And it's not going to take a whole lot to play better defense. They were horrendous, like I said. But I think the key here is Baker, the new defensive coordinator that they brought in on defense. He's going to do a great job of taking the same players and putting them in a better position to be successful. And I think that's important. You can take a new defensive coordinator and a new defense staff and create a different scheme, give a different attitude and atmosphere for the defense, and all of a sudden the same players play a lot better and continue to play better every week. And I think that's going to happen there. Harold Perkins is a linebacker. He's kind of the special guy on defense. They're going to find ways to put pressure on the quarterback with him, move him around, and give them a chance to be better. They'll be much better on defense. They will be solid on offense and a chance to be really good by the end of the season. And that gives them a chance to have the players they need to win in the SEC and take them to postseason play. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the schedule and how important that's going to be next year. Welcome back to the Bowden Blitz, and I want to talk about LSU's schedule this year. You know, you can't play in the SEC without having a tough schedule. Almost everybody that you play against is going to have the ability to beat you, but LSU's schedule, I think, lays out perfectly for them to have a special year. First of all, the two top teams in the conference, everybody is picking them, Georgia and Texas. They're not on LSU's schedule, not anywhere to be seen during the regular season. The next two best teams are easily Alabama, Ole Miss. LSU plays them at home, and they have an off week before each of those games, and that's critical. So you take LSU's schedule, you take out the two top teams in the conference. The next two top teams, they're playing them at home, and now you put that together with a schedule that gives you 7 home games. 7 home games they're going to have, 4 away, and they'll be favored in all those away games that they have that they play on the road. And so the schedule really lays out very nicely for LSU. But I didn't mention the one game that's at a neutral site, and that's in Las Vegas. That's against Southern Cal, and that's to open the season. So circle that one if you're an LSU fan, but circle that one if you want to see LSU have a great year, because I think they have to come on strong in that game. They're favored by about a touchdown, but they're going to have to come out there and now play the game they need to play to set the tempo for a great year. How they start the season is very important, and they have not started well. They've lost their last 4 home games, last 4 opening games in the last 4 years, so they need to come out strong in this game. But I do think they will beat Southern California in that opening game and be 5-0 when they get to Ole Miss down the road at home. And I think that schedule, as tough as it is in that conference, lays out so nicely that it puts them in a position, I believe, to be successful and get to postseason play. We'll come right back after this word from one of our sponsors. Welcome back to the Bowden Blitz, and we've talked about how important the coaching is going to be, the personnel, the players are going to be, and the schedule is going to be at LSU. And I think all of those factors are positive enough that we can really see LSU making it to postseason play. But I think there's an X factor. There's a fourth factor involved, that anybody that's ever gone to a game in Baton Rouge or, like me, have coached in a game at Baton Rouge know that the X factor is Tiger Stadium, Death Valley. There's nothing like it. Probably one of the toughest places, easily to me, the toughest place in the SEC, one of the toughest places to play at night anywhere in the country. I know Brian Kelly there, he is 11-0 at night home games in his 2 years at LSU, and it's a difficult place to play. The fans are having a good time partying. Those Cajuns are going all day long, and when they get in that stadium, they're ready to play the game, and they are a factor in the game, and they just come out there, and it's a nasty place to play. But the schedule, the stadium's always been that way, but it's going to be something special this year. This is the 100th anniversary of Death Valley, of Tiger Stadium, And so it's going to be a special year. They've spent millions of dollars to put big jumbotrons in each ends of the end zone, brand new sound towers. They've got LED lights. They've got strobe lights. They got all kinds of things going on that they've never had. It's going to take probably one of the nastiest stadiums in the country, the toughest stadiums in the country, and make it even tougher when you go in there. And remember, 7 home games are going to be played at that stadium. Ole Miss, Alabama, if those can be night games, it's even better. And that's the X factor. So if you're an LSU fan or you're a Cajun fan, get ready for a wild ride, because it's going to be a wild ride to that postseason. You know, I didn't mention the SEC championship. I'm not even saying they necessarily are going to make the SEC championship. You know, you don't play Texas. You don't want to play Alabama, Georgia. You don't want to play Texas necessarily for an SEC championship when you can play them in the postseason playoff for the national championship, which is exactly where LSU will be. 10, 11 wins for the season, postseason play, and if they can get hot at the end, you got a chance at LSU to go all the way. Thank you for watching the Bowden Blitz, and we look forward to talking to you on our next podcast.